Hi, hi. Yeah. Today I want to talk about, I want to say the move and how it all happened. Uh, so 3 weeks ago, I remember the whole drama happened over work. So I wasn't making any income. But keep in mind, my income is, it's not, it was. So I had some savings of like 500 bucks and $1,000. That was the income every month, $1,000. 700 went to rent because you can't live without electricity and rent is super fucking expensive. And then to lease the small space that I have at work, it's 115 bucks, but I actually get a discount. I showed them my university card, so that qualifies me for a discount. And I have one. Yeah, I'm an alumni. The fuck, man. Don't doubt. That leaves me with about 100, 100, 700, 100, and 815, 50. That leaves me with about 250 bucks, man, to do stuff with. It's not good money. It leaves me about 200 actually to do stuff with. And I've been surviving. Started this YouTube specifically around that time when I got my first paycheck. And 3 weeks ago, I don't have that paycheck anymore. So what happens then? Naturally, the first expense I thought about was, hey man, you're paying $200 for electricity. Dump it. I'm used to living without electricity in Africa when I was there. And it's not that it doesn't have electricity. It's just like the neighborhoods I was living in were not ones that were like that had proper electricity going at them. But just like shortages, the landlord had bad wiring, so a whole lot of stuff. And sometimes it's 2, 3 weeks without electricity until somebody comes and fixes it, or somebody's able to find out what the problem is. Normally, it costs a lot of money. Lucky for us here in Lebanon, it's just one issue: government sucks. So I figured $500 would be okay, but then that triggered me actually like requiring income, and I realized $500 is still too much. So at times like these, you tend to kind of like look at yourself in a bit of disappointment. How did I allow myself to get here? So I sat down and I wrote down a list about a couple of things that I kind of would want to do, and they were simple, super fucking simple. Forget the goals and the vision that I once wrote and all these things that I once wrote. They were simple. I want to have my own place. I want to have electricity in it. I want to buy my own mattress. I want to buy new shoes for running. I want to buy new pants. I want to buy another towel to take a shower. Right? Like I started noticing that there are things that actually working allows you. I haven't been technical. I've been working on my stuff, but I haven't actually been working and producing for a while. So I jumped on the bandwagon, and the first thing I did 2 weeks ago is fix my CV, and I think I mentioned it. And then I started applying, and throughout the interviews and the people I talked with, most of them kind of pointed at the fact that I have a strong business analyst background, but I actually don't have a degree in business analysis or a certificate, which is like more, if you have the experience, all you need is a certificate. There's a master's program I do want to take though, but the reason I want to take it is because it's like business analysis and data analysis. So they teach you a lot of like, it's code heavy, where you get to work with like, I don't know, like build the machines that are used in order to kind of like assess data, which is definitely something I want to be involved in. But too soon for that. The course is about 20, I think 30K, they said. It's a 2 year program, master's. And that 30K takes about, like, we might get a 50% discount. That's still 15K. And if I actually get to work for like 8 hours a week with like some teacher, they would chop another 20%. That's still about 10 fucking $1,000, man, I don't have. So I started applying online for like some certificates, and Some of them called, some of them were here, located in Lebanon, and they're only like $700. So hey, I was promised better interviewing in the future when I do that. So that's perfectly cool. But like another thing as well, like where do I live? And I wrote down I do not want to go back to my parents' house because it's not mine. But then I need money in order to be able to like move into a new place and register for the course and all that stuff. So I manned up. Yeah, that's what people do. And they go to the closest person that they have. I only had one. Only one person that I could actually go talk to. And I approached it in this thought process. So the first year of university, I did the first 2 years of university, I kind of fucked up school wise. And when I lost my financial aid, my dad came to him and he was like, "Hey man, I'm not going to pay for your third year." So I kind of went to him with that thought process. I'm like, "Hey man, remember that third year where I didn't want to study, but I still went to university and you didn't want to pay? Well, now I want to study and I'm doing great. So what do you say?" He said yes. I'm lucky. He hasn't retired yet. But ultimately, I am going to get a job. And this has been one of those structured decisions that actually allows society to produce for me instead of me just creating something, right? Because I've been learning and adopting and developing and all that stuff over the past couple of years, let's say years, and processing and establishing and trying my best to kind of like pick a route forward on all the cute stuff. On top of that, a bit of drama happened as well, and not with me. A bit of drama happened with a guy that works around my area, and I'm guessing the nature of how you get your wishes is the weird part because it was one of those days where I don't know if I talked about it, but I'll watch a couple of videos just to check. But basically, it was one of those days that I wasn't going back. I was on my way back home, but I decided I wanted to eat. And like 2 seconds after I made that decision, I started walking opposite home, and I received a phone call from a friend of mine that really wanted to talk about stuff from a guy I know. I don't know, man. I don't think that we're friends at all. But I wanted to be there for him, right? I don't know. Like, no, I just remembered when I wanted to talk to people and nobody was there. And he's a decent guy, so I sat there and we talked. And he talked, and I was like, I went on my tangents. But he received a phone call from a guy that basically he wanted an apartment from a couple of months back, but the apartment was full, and he told him the apartment is now empty. And today I paid a down payment on that apartment. Weirdly so, I got my wish. And it's cheaper with cheaper electricity. It's a bit older though. Kind of has the antique vibe to it. Just fun because I get to be a bit more myself since I really don't like feel comfortable in modern apartments specifically because you have to buy furniture that suits them. But the whole place is furnished, man. It's like fully furnished and it's ancient. And probably the next couple of videos will start popping from that space. But evidently, tomorrow I move, which is one day short of my renewal of the next month. And given that I actually got to stay here for only 2 months instead of like the full, well, I wanted to stay here at least 6 months to a year, I will probably get most of my deposit back. Fucking awesome. It's a $500 deposit. Right now, it matters. So overall, I don't know what to call it, man. It's ever since I started putting things on a schedule, they started becoming easier to do. And I really think the whole like back and forth between the schedule and the goals I set or the things that I need to accomplish and the back and forth that happens with them, where I am basically facilitating, kind of creates that structure in reality where I don't necessarily have to think as much as I normally would, or my mind doesn't necessarily have to interfere when I normally would. the way it normally would. It's funny, but it kind of creates a certain synchrony between the stuff that I write down that need to happen and the logic behind or the timing behind when they're going to be require my focus. And the minute I look at the calendar, I go like, "Oh, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening," but the day starts kind of like flowing more smoothly. I'm excited for this move. I don't know how I'm gonna feel when I get to the house. I remember the first couple of weeks I can't when I got to this house, it was a bit weird, but I adjust. But that place is like a minute away from my work, which kind of like started in my head creating a different routine for the day for myself because right now I go walk and stuff. But that will be fun. It's definitely a more efficient way to do things because I save about like 45 minutes every day in the morning, which means I could probably get to work earlier, something that I actually like. But also, it means I don't necessarily have to worry about distances the way I did before because it's just a whole, I don't know. I work out in the middle of the day now. Maybe moving there will allow me to find a closer gym and just do things in an easier manner. Wish me luck, man. But this is definitely exciting. And I'm going to look back at the notes that I took at one point about the stuff that I wanted, and I'm going to clearly establish the stuff that now are to be a requirement moving forward. Cool beans. I need to pick a goal for when my website should launch. But I'm doing projects from now till then in order to level up my skills, so that's fine. Later.